So Kevin, you walked us through an amazing demo this morning. So even though we don't have the demo with us, can you kind of walk through what we saw and kind of what the demo was all about?
Sure. What we demonstrated today was basically how we utilize historical conversations to provide actual intelligence inside of the interactions that we provide for the customers, regardless of whatever the entry point is, whether it was starting at Google all the way to being in the pocket of consumers inside of the native in-app experience as well.
Starting at Google, so no one else does that. So explain how that all works.
Yeah, so our perspective is that if you're not at the beginning of the needs events of consumers, you're missing out those experiences and that your competitors are meeting them. So we put heavy emphasis in utilizing SEO optimized knowledge to meet at the top of the Google search results page so that we can be the authoritative content that answers the questions. And then if we don't answer the questions, we have the subsequent self-service options behind it.
So we saw it going from self-serve to assisted and everything in between. So kind of walk us through what some of the steps would be.
Yeah, so in the kind of graduated scale of how we look to engage consumers and between the brands and the consumers, firstly, we start with proactive. When we know what those needs events are, we want to head them off at the pass so that we can have highly effective virtual agents reach out and address those needs events, whether it be address change, truck roll, outages, and then from there, meeting at Google. So when the consumer does a query and looks for a resolution, we have that performant knowledge article. And then from there, if that knowledge article does not answer the needs events, we have a highly trained virtual agent that's trained on historical conversations from humans, and from there can provide the right proper care treatment. And of course, if required, transfer and elevate to a human agent with all of the context from the historical interaction. So what did they Google? What did they read? What was the conversation with the virtual agent? And the human agent can take over from there to provide that frictionless experience.
And then we also saw channel switching. Can you talk about that a little?
Yeah, absolutely. So oftentimes now we are inside of this kind of asynchronous environment, right? We all use Slack and Teams and SMS and WhatsApp, and we do this in our personal lives. But when we transact with brands, historically, it's been a very synchronous experience. You had to carve out 15, 20 minutes of time to talk to the brand that you're working with on the phone. Or if you were doing chat, you had to find that contiguous block of time. Now, inside of asynchronous, we are able to deflect from analog voice experiences into digital asynchronous experiences. So the example that we reviewed earlier was someone had called into the IVR, and the IVR offered what we call IVR deflection, where it then says, hey, I can move this conversation into an in-app asynchronous experience where we can converse back and forth like you would on WhatsApp, but that's all done through the native app of the brand, and we deflected from voice into that asynchronous experience, conditioning and providing the consumer with a frictionless experience where they come back again and again.
And what else did the demo show that I forgot to ask about?
Okay. We talked about training of the virtual agent, and that's our solution called XO. And so what XO does, what is so profound about XO is that we don't guess about what to automate. We don't have workshops and say, okay, someone wants to change their address, reset their password. What we do is we go back to the historical conversations and take the recordings and the digital conversations, emails, chats, SMSs, and we harvest all those conversations. From there, we don't do just keyword spotting. We map out the entirety of the conversation from hi to bye, understand each intent and the turns the conversation takes, and then we understand all the utterances that pair with it. And when we do that, we understand how to converse back and forth between the virtual agent and the consumer in an effective manner so that we can take the most effective conversations, build the virtual agent that can handle that type of interaction, and then know that we will have highly effective virtual agents.
How long does a process like that take usually?
Yeah, so it's a fantastic question because our initial process for this takes about 30 days. So we take these interactions in, and we can take just stereo calls or structured digital conversations. We ingest them, run them through our 200 models, and within 30 days, we have an initial pass.
Okay, anything else you want to add?
I think we covered it.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you.